What's going on, people? Welcome back to the opposition preview. I'm joined by Dan Lawless from West Ham Fan TV to look ahead to the game on Saturday. Lawless, we've been talking about West Ham off air, and now let's talk about it here with the people. So far this season, 13th in the league, but in the Conference League, in the European Division, the third one, you're doing well. You seem like you're progressing to the next round. We've been talking about West Ham's expectations and what's been happening so far this season. But are you pleased with how things have gone?
Europe, yeah, for sure. We've won every single game. We've topped the group. We miss out the next rounds, which is good. Don't play till March now in Europe. So that's gone really well. The league has been a disappointment for me in terms of how we've been playing and the results. So yeah, it's a tale of two competitions, kind of like last season where we was doing really well in the league, in the Europa League, and then our league form started to dip. So yeah, like not been too happy with the league, but I'm hoping things start to turn around. We start to get some players back from injury, you know what I mean, and we start to get some momentum.
So when you talk about the league versus the Europa Conference League, do you think it's just a case of in the Conference League you're facing considerably weak opposition? That's why you do perform better than the Premier League. Is that the case?
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I do think that is part of the equation. I think Moyes also tends to be a bit braver and more experimental in the Europa Conference League than he does the league. You know what I mean? He has this overly cautious approach a lot of the time. So we've got to mix up the lineups and give other players a chance, and it's kind of worked. But yeah, obviously, we have a lot of our fans that laud our form and go, well, actually, we've won this many games. We've got like 8 wins out of 12. And it's like, okay, you're counting like half of that as conference wins,
Yeah. That's what I was looking at as well. I was looking at your recent form, and you mentioned David Moyes there. And I want to talk about him because he's, I think, the oldest manager in the Premier League. I have to check that up. If he ain't, then I'm not too sure he's older than him right now. Is there a concern of what's going to happen in the long term? You're sitting in this place. He's got you European competition. And when he came in, he done a brilliant job. Because I remember, I think it was the first time he came in. The previous season, you struggled quite a bit. And there were talks about, West Ham going to survive? And you managed to go on and get European competitions. But in the long term now, when you're talking about a manager that you described, how we had it with Roy Hodgson in terms of he's got his own approach. He likes his own players, and it's kind of old school rather than what we see with the modern managers. Are you concerned about the long-term future of David Moyes, even though you're not doing too bad in European competitions and in the league?
Yeah, my concern is over him being able to manage bigger teams and integrate new, more progressive players. That's my concern because we've spent 170 million in the summer, which are our record spend in one transfer window. Signed some top tier players, Scamacca, Paqueta, Cornet, like quality players that you'd be excited by. And so far, obviously, Paqueta and Cornet being injured, Scamacca's sort of just getting in there now. But it's just a question over, like, can Moyes utilize these players? Can Moyes play a system that suits them and a style of football that's going to get the most out of them? And so far, there's question marks for me. So I need to see, as time progresses, improvement, massive improvement with these new signings. Flynn Downs, obviously, he's come in as well, which you guys know about Flynn Downs, Crystal Palace.
Of course.
Player that you guys know about. And he's looked.
Well, don't worry. There was, remember, we'll talk about Eze and Ben Rama, but
I knew you was.
It's always worked out in our favor. It's always worked out in our favor.
I knew you was gonna bring up Eze. It was so like, what was that, like 2 years ago or something?
Of course, I'm gonna bring him up. Of course, because you're bringing up Flynn Downs like he's done anything for you guys so far. But then,
Flynn Downs, mate, he's been a good signing.
Well, yeah, would have liked him, but he wanted to join the club. He didn't want to play on the progressive football. That's the only. It's not my fault that he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to play on the Patrick Vieira. He wants to play on the David Moyes.
He's a West Ham fan, like so many more people are than Palace fans. You know what I mean? Like,
when we're talking about West Ham, it seems like West Ham are in a denial with other big clubs like Newcastle who are ready to take their space. You have to remember, West Ham a few years ago we're fighting relegation, and all of a sudden we're talking about West Ham being this European side. I don't think West Ham are that European side. I don't
Well,
think
we're the
so.
only side out of the rest. You know, let's have it right. Palace, West Ham, Newcastle, Brighton, whatever, who have been playing European football. Like it's been a
but
long
that's
time
over
for
2
you.
years. That's just over the 2 years. I feel like that's just been this spell rather than West Ham being that side. I don't think West Ham have been that side over the last, maybe under Bilic, you had a few good moments as well. But when you look at West Ham, they haven't been that European side for a long time. I wouldn't say West Ham are
we did qualify for Europe one season under Big Sam, and then he got sacked. Obviously, we didn't. We got knocked out, and then we got qualified the next season under Bilic, and then we got knocked out. But we still qualified for Europa League, and then obviously we had that break, and now we're back. You know, so I'm not saying we're an established European side, but you know what I mean. You got to put respect.
Do you think, honestly? That's why I asked the David Moyes question. Do you actually think you're back? Because I don't know. I don't know if you're back. If you're knocked out of the Conference League, which we've been talking about, you really think you're going to win that? Let's say you don't win it. Worst case scenario, I don't think West Ham are going to be finishing European spots this season.
Well, yeah, it's our best chance of getting there. Like the thing is, we're not a million miles away from the European spots. We're like like 5 points or something like that, from 6th. So form can change, form can turn. I don't expect Newcastle to be on this run of form for the rest of the season. If they do, they're getting Champions League football. Let's not even talk about Europa League. They're probably going to be title contenders. If they keep playing like this, teams have dips in form and teams go on runs of form. As you know, like Palace do it all the time. Season after season, you'll go on a run where it's like, geez, Palace, man, we got to look at Palace. And all of a sudden fall off the edge of a cliff. And we do it. You know what I mean? I've seen it so many times where we have like mid-season, we get going, we go on a run. Towards the end of the season, we just tail off. Like, so many different variables can happen in the season. You get that one injury that just derails your whole season. So I'm not saying that we're favorites, or I think we're getting that top 6 place or top 7 place, but I'm not ruling it out. But I do think that Conference League is our best chance to play European football next season, and we have to be one of the favorites to win it. We have to be.
Yeah. Well, when you look at it, there's a lot of farmers in there. So, I mean, if you don't beat the Farmers, then it'll be quite shocking. I mean, that's what you guys should be favorites to win it, especially after spending 117 million. Now, if you look at all the teams there, I wonder if combined they've spent that much money in this window if you enter all the teams in that competition. So, I think you are the favorites, and you rightly should be the favorites because of the money you spent in that competition. But when you mention Newcastle, I think that's still a bit harsh. I feel like, let us know in the comment section down below, by the way. I feel like Newcastle, let's be honest, Newcastle have got the money, but they've got the infrastructure as well. I said this to you with Dan Ashworth going from Brighton. They got Eddie Howe, who look, he's doing a great job, but I still want to see more in the long term. I want to see how they react to the negative spells, because he had this moment in Bournemouth where they were doing so great and then it kind of got predictable, etc., and it fell off. So I want to see Eddie Howe in the long term. But when you talk about Newcastle as a football club, I feel like Newcastle are there to take West Ham's spot, and it's not a negative thing. It's just you can't compete with Newcastle. And first of all, the money and also the infrastructure, they know what they're doing and they've set up perfectly. So that's why I think West Ham's best chance in European football is the Conference League. And if you don't win that this year, then you're back to the likes of, we're talking about normal Premier League football. No more Thursday nights against Farmers or Palace after the season.
Yeah, listen, when you say Farmers, we faced Anderlecht, who have got good pedigree. Anderlecht they ain't no Farmers, right? They've produced some of the best players in
majority.
Bucharest have won the Champions League, Can't call them Farmers.
When?
Back in about 86, but they still
86,
won it.
You're taking the piss. We're talking about 96. How many, like 30, 40? That doesn't mean anything.
How can you call them Farmers?
86. West Ham won the World Cup back in. It doesn't prove anything.
But they literally are more decorated. They're a more decorated club than Crystal Palace. The comment section ain't gonna like to hear that.
All right, cool. I'm not saying that. But right now, if we were to face them, I think we'll give them a good game as well. It doesn't winning Champions League in '86 doesn't mean anything. So
well, I would like to see that. I would like to see how this current Palace team does against these teams.
but we're not finished though. We're not the finished product. We didn't spend 117 million or so that you guys spent. So it's different for Palace versus West Ham. We're still missing two key players. If
Yeah,
Flynn Downs
but you
in,
can say 170 million, but 170 million didn't get us to this position. We didn't spend 170 million to get here. We got
what
here.
did you spend on?
Well, if you go back, we didn't spend anything in January. The summer before that, we didn't spend that much money. We didn't bring in everything that we needed. So this is the first time that Moyes has been given a big budget, right? So when we're saying like, okay, Palace haven't been given 170 million to get to the Europa League and the Conference League to qualify for these competitions, we didn't spend 170 million. We spent hardly anything at all, really, relatively. So, like, realistically,
you'd expect to push further, but it seems like in the league, I know it's still early days, but it's not looking as convincing as it did in the previous seasons. But look, I think West Ham's best chances in the Conference League. But I think in the long term, the reason why I mentioned David Moyes, I think in the long term, you are going to need a change of manager. I don't think he's going to be able to keep this much longer. That's what my feeling inside is. I don't think over the next 3 to 4 years, David Moyes will be your manager. And that's not a bad thing. I feel like you might need a new, fresh face in there to use it, especially the younger players and the talent that you got there, because he likes to play a certain style of football. But over time, it's going to become more predictable because it is, as I say, old-fashioned, and we've seen in the past with older managers as well.
Yeah,
but
I think maybe
don't get me wrong.
Maybe a Patrick Vieira
again.
Maybe we should go for a Patrick Vieira. Do you know what I mean? And a young, progressive manager. You know what I mean? See what Patrick Vieira is saying. See if he wants 170 million.
I'm telling you, Patrick Vieira, that's the last thing he would want to do. He would want to stay at a club that knows what they're doing, rather than. Because we know what's going to happen. If David Moyes leaves, we know what's going to happen. It's going to be owners out, everyone out. It's going to be total chaos back at West Ham. So I think Patrick Vieira is happy as it is right now at Palace rather than go to West Ham. Because what's the difference between the two clubs, really?
He's happy shopping at Poundland, yeah? Rather than...
Whoa. Shopping at Poundland? Yeah. What, West Ham, two good seasons and now you become Louis Vuitton.
But what do you spend, though? What did you spend this summer? Like, what are you giving him to work with?
That's what I'm saying, Lawless.
That's the point.
Didn't spend this summer.
You're not giving him anything to work with. You're not giving the manager.
We need a new right back. We need a new centre mid. And on top of that, we've had a few injuries here and there as well. We're not finished product. We're not a finished
but you're
product.
not giving the manager the tools to do the job.
Look, we're not a finished product. We've had the hardest start to the league, and we're still above West Ham going into this game, which pretty much says it all. We didn't have to spend about 100+ million to be in this position of 10th right now. Well, look, let's talk about your previous game against Manchester United. 1-0 defeat, in the league. But you did create a few chances, and I feel like I can admit this as well. You was unlucky not to get anything out of that game. So, in terms of your strengths and weaknesses this season so far, what are they?
It's definitely how we start games has been a big issue. We start very slowly, and usually it takes the second half or takes going a goal down before we actually go at teams. You know, Moyes, especially like Moyes' record away from home against the Sky Sports 6 teams is shocking. Like, he hasn't won a single game against any of these teams in the league away from home.
Anyways, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, well, it's where has that got him?
He's only been here one season, and that got into an FA Cup semi-final, and in the league we've done relatively decent as well. This is the second season and still not fully backed. Like, we still need 3 players. But anyways, continue. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, so yeah, like basically. So he pays a lot of teams like too much respect a lot of the time and doesn't just go for it. So we end up just starting really slowly, and it's by the time we do switch it on, there's not enough time really to turn the game around and get the win over the line or get the draw. So yeah, it's definitely our slow start. Moyes, some of his substitutions or lineups, like Flynn Downs, who again we talked about earlier, I really rate. He's been man of the match twice in Europe. He's come in at Anfield and at Old Trafford now, and he's looked good, but he's being played out of position. He's being played in the 10 role when he's a centre midfielder. But all to accommodate Souček, because Moyes don't want to drop Souček, yes, his boy, he has to go. He's like, I can't deny Flynn Downs deserves to start, but I'm not going to drop Souček. So let's just put Flynn Downs in the 10 where he's just going to be out of his element because we're asking him to create and he's not a creator. Things like that, not, having players play, dropping players that he should be dropping and giving players a chance who he should be given a chance. His treatment of Ben Rama is a joke, makes me sick. The guy has been one of our best players this season, but Moyes has him in and out of the team, and it's just clear how better we are when he starts. It's just a fact. So, yeah, that's, I think, some of our biggest problems, really.
Yeah, well, it's funny because we have the same problems apart from, the same problem, apart from slow starts to the game where we just start so slow. But the difference with Palace and West Ham, how you mentioned it there, is that we actually do, we perform the second half and manage to get the wins. So that'll be quite interesting. In our last game against Southampton, we actually started pretty strong. So I wonder if we continue that going into the West Ham game. But talking about some of the players, you mentioned Flynn Downs there, of course, and there's new signings like Samaka. Who should we watch out for the most?
Yeah, I think Scamacca for sure. Like, the guy has looked quality. And it's one of them things, like, you gotta watch the man with your eyes. Like, if you just sit there and look at goal tallies and so far, like, he hasn't done that thing where he's like scoring every game yet. He ain't got to that momentum. But we are so much better when he's in the side because he offers so much more to the team. His ability to drop deep and start runs, move past the ball and try and move into space, linking up with other players. The energy that he brings. He's just a quality player, the movement, everything. So he's going to definitely cause Palace problems. Ben Rama, like I said before, the guy's, absolutely just a creative mastermind. Well, mastermind's probably a bit strong word, but he's just a creative wizard. And like he's
nice. You realize, at least you realize yourself. Even your brain was like, hold on. Let's take a step.
Yeah. Did you see him ruin Casemiro though in the Man United game? He completely ruined that guy, mate. He took the piss out.
He's just trying to be like Eze. Yeah, I get it.
Listen, Ben Rama, you don't even compare him to Eze. Eze is just injured all the time, isn't he?
What are you talking about? Eze is the player Eze is the main player that everyone's talking about. Should he go to the World Cup or not? Come on, man. Eze is so clear of Ben Rama. That's not even a conversation. Just because Ben Rama's doing what?
Nah, let's not. I'm not having that. I like Eze. I think he's a quality player, but he's clearer of Ben Rama. That's madness. I'm not having that.
So what's Ben Rama done?
What do you mean? What's he done?
He hasn't even played consistently. As you're saying here, he hasn't even played consistently.
Yeah, but that's not his fault. That's down to the manager's personal preference.
I know. All right, then. Why is he not playing him then?
Because I don't know. He don't fancy him because Moyes likes old school players that have work rate and things like that. Like he's not into flair players. Moyes would rather have someone that runs up and down the pitch constantly. Do you know what I mean? And just puts tackles in all day. Where Ben Rama is someone who's creative, who's a risk taker. Yeah, he's going to take chances, and it's not always going to come off, but when it does come off, it's special, and that's what risk takers and creators do. Great players do that. They take chances. They'll try and take players on. Every now and then it won't come off, but when it does come off, you're creating a good chance. But Moyes don't like that. He wants you to make the simple pass, the simple ball, and just run around all game. And that's not Ben Rama. And that's not what I want to see. I don't want to see 11 players that are just going to run around all game and just make 5-yard passes. So that's the issue with him and Ben Rama. But he's a quality player. Obviously, Declan Rice, he's someone like runs that midfield. The guy is quality. He's levels. Yeah.
You reckon he's going to stay there past January?
Yeah, he's easily going to be here past January. Like, there's no way he's going in January at all. So he'll definitely be here at least to the end of the season. So and he's a leader. He's just, you watch him and you can just see how good he is. So yeah, I think he's gonna obviously be a tough opponent for Palace's midfield for sure. So yeah, there's a few players there that Palace can worry about for sure.
Yeah. So in the Palace side of things, we talked about Eze versus Benrahma. For me, this season, I'll take back the clear. I don't think Eze is clear, but Eze is the better player this season, without a doubt. That's not even debatable. I think he's been great, and you will probably see it against you guys on Saturday as well. And Benrahma, does he play down the left hand side? Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna sound funny, but I think if Benrahma plays down the left hand side, it's gonna be easier for Benrahma to show his creative side due to our right back being Joe Ward, and he has struggled at times this season. Even though he had a good last game, I think he will have a very good game if he plays down that side. If David Moyes starts him, if he doesn't start him, he'll be I don't know what he's thinking of if he doesn't start Benrahma against Joe Ward. But look, for the Palace side of things, we mentioned Eze, Benrahma, them two, but who are you worried about other than them two? Because before we used to be Wilfred Zaha FC. That's what people always mention. But now we've got a few more other players that can step up to the plate.
Yeah, I think Edouard looks to be a good player. For me, he seems to be a threat. Someone that West Ham could have signed, but Moyes being Moyes, we played them in a pre-season friendly, Celtic, and he was terrible, Edouard. He did nothing. And I think Moyes just changed his mind on him, and it's like, it's a pre-season friendly. Like, you're really judging someone and choosing whether to sign them, like just being turned off them.
He done it on purpose. He just didn't want to join West Ham. He already knew the links. He was like, I don't want to join that club. Let me just put that.
He could have been playing European football.
The real manager, the legend he is, the Premier League GOAT, Patrick Vieira. That's what he wanted to join.
He was
I respect Edouard for that. You know, he saved himself. Look at him now. He's flourishing brilliantly in Palace's system.
He's like, yeah, I don't want to play European football. Like, I've had enough of that with Celtic.
Yeah, I mean, there's no point of playing Thursday nights, and you're not even like, it's like the Thursday nights, and you're not even the star. Like, it's Europa League, then there's the Conference League. You're not like, no one even cares about the Conference League like that. It's all about the Europa League.
Come on, you would give your right arm to be in that.
I would, but we're not in it right now, so I can say this.
Yeah,
of course, I would give my right arm.
There you go.
Edouard, he's been scoring goals. And also, funny enough, he's been scoring goals in London. I don't know what it is, but he loves scoring goals just in London. So he'll be up for this game.
Say as well is another player, obviously looks quality. He looks like a promising player. It's just like, it seems to me like, obviously now you've got Eze and Elise playing together. It seemed like one would be injured and one wouldn't, and then the other one come back, the other's injured or something. But if I'm right, but you seem to have got them both playing together. So yeah, there's definitely players there. I think Gilmore obviously is a huge loss. He was like last season.
Gilmore, hold up. Conor Gallagher. You guys, you forgot about his name. Billy Gilmore.
His name. No, but you know what? I always get them two confused. I don't know why.
Conor Gallagher is clear of Billy Gilmore. I don't know how you get them two.
I don't know.
Remember Conor Gallagher scored 2 goals against you guys last season at your ground.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, Gallagher. Yeah, obviously he was the difference maker. Like last season, he, without him, it would have been a much more comfortable game. But he just caused us all sorts of problems for Palace. So I think that's a massive loss, not getting him over the line this season for Palace. And I don't think he's been in and out of the side at Chelsea this season. So it just seems like it was a sort of a bit of a fail all around for that deal not to have happened, at least another loan spell. So I'm happy that he's not there, because last season, like I said, he was trouble.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a tight game. Even though I was looking at the scores, and normally it's draws at your ground. So it seemed like both sides can't get a win when we're playing at the London stadiums. But look, we talked about both sides.
We had that 3-0, innit?
Huh?
We had that 3-0. We had the
that was
Andy Carroll overhead extravaganza.
Yeah, you do love scoring bangers against us. So all right, cool. I'll give you
Everyone loves scoring bangers against Palace.
Last time around, I think it was 2-0 to you guys, wasn't it? Or 2-1. Then we went 2-2. I'm not too sure. I was at that game as well, where Conor Gallagher scored them 2 goals. But look, score predictions. You've been talking about West Ham being this European side. You're playing at home. So surely you should be backing your boys for a win.
Yeah, we have to win this. Like, this is a must win. I'm not hearing it. Like, our next 2 league games before the World Cup are Palace and Leicester. I want 6 out of 6. No two ways about it. Yeah, obviously, if we win this, we go above you in the table. But it's like, and this ain't even a slight on Palace, but we go and play like Man United's and these teams or whatever, and it's like we lose and we're like, oh well, it's Man United and that. So if we can't expect to win our home games against teams around us like Palace and that, who can we expect to beat? And I'm not saying we have a right to beat Palace, but we need to beat Palace at home. Our away form is terrible, but our home form is decent. Like, if we don't win this game, Moyes has got some question marks on his head. Like, so I'm
playing you European football they've been raving on about for the last half an hour. Why has he got question marks?
Yeah, but you're given 170 million pounds, then we want to see progression, yeah. And I'm not hearing it. Like, we've been able to play near enough a second string team in Europe, yeah. So I'm not hearing like Europe's got us tired and that. We've got the players to do it. Win the damn game and play well. So look, I think it's going to be a tough game. I think we'll win it. Do you know what? I'm tired of these 2-1s. Everyone says 2-1, 2-1. It's their little like, oh, I'm not going to. I'm just going to say it's, oh, you'll get your goal. Nah. Do you know what? 3-1 West Ham.
3-1.
Like I said, usually they're high scoring games a lot of the time, and we you know what I mean? Like,
look, we haven't had back-to-back wins in a long time. Like, it's been a struggle. That's been our main concern. We win at home, away from home, different performance, different Palace side. But in this game, Palace fans will know as well. In this game, I'm expecting a change in system, firstly, and also Decore is going to be back, one of our best players so far this season. He should be back in midfield, and I'm expecting a change in our waveform. So even though it's a bit hard, I want to predict the win, but in reality, I'd be happy with a draw, and I think it will be a draw. I'm going for like a 1-1. I think you're going to see a different Palace side in terms of how we play at home versus away from home. Away from home, we tend to struggle, but I think like this game is going to be the change because Vieira hinted it after the Everton defeat. We lost 3-0, and he said that maybe how we set up away from home, it has to change, and I feel like there might be a bit more balance, less attacking. And I'll take that. I'll take a point away from home at West Ham because, as I don't think you're that side. I've said this before. So of course this could bite me back, but I feel like we could get a point at the London Stadium. I'm not too sure about your home form this season. I know you've played some good games, even though you didn't pick up points. Well, it should be a good game. It should be a good game. There's talent on both sides of teams. I'm going to go for 1-0. But don't be shocked if we beat you guys 2-0 as well.
2-0. Boy, that's not happening. That's not happening. You know what I could really see? I could see it being 1-0 until like the 92nd minute. And in classic Vieira fashion, we get like a last minute winner and Vieira's there like, oh, not again. Why does this always happen?
Trust me. If you ask all your players who would rather play for, I'm telling you, 80% of them is coming to Patrick Vieira, apart from Flynn Downs because he sports West Ham. But yeah, the rest of them, they're coming to.
Maybe if you ask them who would they rather play for at West Ham, they'd say Vieira. But it's like, oh, I have to play for Palace to play for Vieira. Nah, it's cool, mate. I'm good.
You're living in the past times. West Ham are down.
That rundown.
Don't get excited over 1 or 2 seasons. That's it. Like, we're gonna come down to earth after you get knocked out the conference league. If you win
Broadcast Football Club.
If you don't win the conference league, if you don't win the conference league, Lawless, I'm telling you, next season or next game, actually, first game. Next game, we're gonna be here talking about the Premier League and how West Ham are struggling to get European competition. It's gonna come back to normality. Like, that's it.
Do you know what? I think it says a lot, about your club that you're a former football owner has become like a TalkSport presenter. Like, that's the levels, mate.
What does that even mean?
Because it's like all our owners are too, you know what I mean, they're big time to, they're not gonna just, they got businesses. The
owners are too big time. Wait, hold up. Same West Ham fans that are talking about the owners being big time when you've been asking for your owners out for the last how many years.
But they're billionaires. They're not, you know what I mean? They're billionaires. They ain't gonna be.
We've got billionaires right now. We haven't got time with Jordan, have we? We're not in the
championship. Why aren't they spending?
Huh?
Why aren't they spending?
Bro, we don't have to spend it. We don't have to spend 100 or million or so to be above West Ham. We're happy with the 20 million we spend. We're still 10.
Wait. Before we go, let me ask you this now. Are you going to finish above West Ham this season?
It depends on a January transfer window.
Come on, look at that. Where's the chest?
we've got a few more games to the January transfer window.
It depends about the transfer window.
100%. I think we do. If we get them players, I think we finish above West Ham. Look, as I'm saying it's 2 seasons good, but before them 2 seasons, you was fighting for survival, and there's a reason for that. And I feel like
didn't we still finish above you though?
I'm not too sure. It's under Roy Hodgson, so it don't really count. So that's
it
another,
don't count.
Yeah.
It don't
It was under
count.
Roy Hodgson.
I'd like to see how many times you'd finished above us. Probably that one season under Pardew.
But it's a different era now. It's a different era.
All right,
Trust me.
We'll see, mate. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. But look, thank you for coming on to the channel, Lawless. It was good. It was good getting your insights about West Ham and how you think West Ham are this magical European big side now after facing.
Putting words in my mouth.
Have you faced Anderlecht? You have you?
Yes, we faced Anderlecht.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they beat Anderlecht now. Now West Ham are this magical side. And what was that team in '86? That one Champions League?
Wait, hold up. We don't forget that we beat Lyon last season. We beat Sevilla, who are the holders of the Europa League. So it's not like we've beaten.
Fair enough. I'll give you that. Look, right now, even though I'm talking like this, you still got the Conference League. It will be much worse. I can guarantee you, Lawless. If you come here after getting knocked out of the Conference League, it won't be nice because that's the only thing you're holding on to. If you look at the league table, we're still above you right now. I know if you beat us, you go above us. But look, I'm not worried.
You know what? I cannot wait till the next round when we play you, to see where. I don't know when the away game is, but I can't wait to see what you're saying.
All right, we'll clip this up and we'll use it as an intro next time around when we play you again.
Don't forget, don't try and I got deleted. I lost it. You know,
get lost, man. But look, that's it for the opposition preview. Thank you to everyone who's watched it. Leave a like and subscribe. Also, make sure to check out West Ham Fan TV and Lawless as well. Leave down your comments below. Let us know your score predictions and thoughts ahead of the game. And until next time, up the Palace.